right before we introduced you, you just told us something. Can you tell the listeners what you just saw?
There is a spirit of a man here. I don't know where he came from, but he's sitting on the yellow chair in the back with his legs crossed. He's just kind of watching the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Interview with My Kid. I'm Kelsi Sullivan. This is my kid.
I'm Arlo, the kid. What's up? I haven't seen you. I just got back from my other dad's.
I know, I missed you. I haven't seen you. I just picked him up from their other dad's last night. It's just not the same without you. How was it?
It was fun. Had a good time.
Nice. The house just, I missed your energy. It's just not the same. But speaking of energies, today we have the most exciting guest. Me and Arlo are so excited right now. She is an actress, a singer, a creator, and a psychic medium. So welcome on set, Kelsi Davies.
Welcome.
We're so excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here.
I mean, you came in, I'm just going to say you came in like a storm.
It was pretty spooky.
Yeah, we have to tell everyone what happened when you walked in. Arlo, tell them.
So the second she walks in, so we started talking just for literally like a second, and then the power just goes out, and just this unit. It was crazy.
Yeah, this was the only one. Like right when I walked in, it was pretty magical.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
She walks in, she's saying hi, and then it's just like, boom.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know, it's just your energy is that powerful or something?
I guess so. I'd like to say so.
I mean, that was exciting, and I wish that was like on camera because that was so amazing. But, and then also, right before we introduced you, you just told us something. Can you tell the listeners what you just saw?
There is a spirit of a man here. I don't know where he came from, but he's sitting on the yellow chair in the back with his legs crossed. He's just kind of watching the show.
Drew, that's your chair, so just so you know.
Would you mind describing him a little bit?
Yeah, he has dark brown hair. He actually is dressed pretty nice. He's in like a suit. I'm not sure. I want to say from maybe the 1950s.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Can you sense if it's like a more positive spirit?
He's definitely more positive. He's just here to watch. Like, he's entertained.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He's just listening to the podcast.
Yeah, he's just vibing. He's in the
He's
back.
like, can I sit in the chair?
Yeah, he's just chilling back there.
That's amazing. That is like,
that's crazy.
I'm so excited right now. So you do so many things, right?
I do.
Act, you dance, right? You sing.
Yes.
And on top of all this, you're a psychic medium. So how did this kind of all happen? Like, introduce our listeners to all of this.
Yeah, so I've had gifts since I was young. I never really understood them though. I always grew up just kind of scared of them, just kind of scared of like my gifts. I was actually really, really shy, like could not talk like in front of people, you know, but like, I don't know, I always had this thing where I just wanted to entertain. I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to do acting. I wanted to put myself out there, but I was so shy to do it. Right. And then I don't know what it was. It was just like as I grew and as my gifts grew, they run in my family on the Native American side.
Okay.
So a lot of people in my family do have these gifts, and I didn't know that until like last year, I want to say.
Wow.
Crazy.
So I grew up kind of like lost, you know, like with myself and with my sexuality and with everything. Like I was just very lost. So YouTube, I actually started on there, and I started, you know, just doing entertaining videos, just finding ways to like put my creativity out there.
Right.
So then I decided like, I came across Oh My Gosh TV on YouTube, and he's actually a good friend of mine now. And he would visit the most haunted places in the world. And I thought that was so cool because I would see things in his videos and feel things in his videos like that were there. And I was like, I wanted to explore it because I was terrified of ghosts growing up. Like they were my biggest fear.
Do you think you were terrified because you were seeing more than an average kid was,
Yes,
you know?
yes. I definitely, like, it was just something I knew was there. So I was always terrified of it because I knew that they were there. Like, there was no doubt in my mind, you know? But no one really teaches you about that. No one really, there's not a book on it. You know what I mean?
It's so funny because everything you're saying and kind of the whole theme I want of this episode is to be kind of that cross between sexuality and then all of these things you're describing, because there's so many similarities.
There
like
is.
Everything you're saying, I've said these exact words. Like growing up, there was no word for trans for me. There was no book to guide me. I felt lost. I felt scared. So I think this is why you're such an amazing guest, because I think you have this perspective that really is it kind of like crosses both of these what people would think are different worlds, but I think they really intersect, right?
They do. It's all energy.
Yes,
And that's kind of how I define my sexuality, is through energy, basically. It's the energy that people give me, the energy that I feel, or the aura that, like, just everything with that. It's like, that's how I'm attracted to people. It's not about their gender for me.
Right.
It's always been like, I'm pretty much blind to genders. It's just always been who they are as a person and what they give and their energy.
And that makes so much sense because so many pansexual, and you're pansexual.
I am.
Listeners. And so many, my girlfriend is pansexual, and so many pansexual people I talk to say the same thing. Like, it's just energy. Like, I don't even really see it. So you're probably like that, but even more intensified because you're reading even deeper than the average person.
Yes.
That's
so
crazy.
it actually makes so much sense. And I love that this is like, shows kind of this perspective into like gender as a spectrum and like human beings just in general as a spectrum. Like I'm loving this already. This is so amazing.
Okay, I'm so excited.
Arlo, do you want to shoot a question of?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, or I don't know if you wanted to save this, but we were just talking about auras, and she said that she can see our auras.
Back when we were talking before the episode, she was like, I already see your auras. I was like, okay, tell us on camera.
Should we ask her?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I could definitely read into your auras. So going in the background of auras, I've seen them since I was young. I would always associate people with certain colors. Like, I would be like, oh, my dad's blue today.
Wow.
But like, I always thought it was normal. I didn't know it was like something that people don't experience.
Right.
So I never really like thought anything of it. I just thought it was normal. So with you, I see a lot of orange. You have a lot of orange in your aura as well as green. And orange is like a lot of creativity usually. There's a lot of creativity, like you're just a creative person. You're here to create, basically.
Crazy.
And you're here to help people with that green in your aura as well.
Wow.
There's multiple colors, but right now I'm seeing a lot of the orange and the green right now.
Wow, that's
Arlo's
crazy.
an insanely creative person who was literally made to create, exactly like you said.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
A lot of like giving, very giving. You're gonna help people create. You're gonna help others like with your creativity.
Wow,
Amazing.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things you've talked about is how like Arlo wants to like, even with music and art, like they like to be kind of they want to like produce music, like help artists like make music and stuff. So that like,
And you'll
totally
influence other people to do
Yeah.
the same. You're gonna influence a lot of people.
Wow, that's so cool. That's crazy.
And then you have a lot of, you have blue in your aura as well as green. So you both have a lot of green, which I feel like you are very helpful with people. You're very, you care about people genuinely.
Yeah.
And the blue is a lot of the communication. Like you are here to help people with your voice is
Yes.
what, a lot of the times that's what I perceive it as,
Yeah.
is you are here to, teach others, like a teacher in some way. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I totally feel. I think my entire life I felt like I wanted to like help people and speak out. And like when I was going through like first coming out as gay and then coming out as trans, like both times I was like, I have to use this to help people. Like I want to use this as a voice because I didn't have that growing up.
Right.
So I think that fits for sure.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
And I was also too like just talking about with someone. I was like, I am not like a how would you even say it? Like a science, like math type of brain. I'm definitely more of like a artsy,
Like a right-sided brain is right.
like I'm much more like into like art and music and stuff like that. So that's really cool that you can like
Yeah, it's all in your aura.
that's
amazing.
awesome.
Could you see it when you like first saw us, or did it? Do you have to tap into it?
So sometimes with people, it depends on their energy. It depends on like, I don't know, some people have a higher vibration, and like some people have it. It's a little bit kind of lingers with them. But with some people, I really have to tap in to see it. But with you guys, I walked in and I just saw it right away.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it something that like you physically see? Oops,
Yes. Yeah. So I'll see like a very thin color around. Or I'll get visions of it too.
Oh, wow.
So it depends.
I actually never knew how auras actually work. I didn't know if
Yeah.
it was like you're seeing it in your mind or you're like
Yeah.
visually
Both, a
seeing
little
it.
bit of both.
I think like people listening right now probably didn't know that either. That's
Yeah.
so rad.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
I'm sure it's different for other mediums and
Yeah.
psychics who see auras, but for me, that's how it's always been since I was
Yeah.
young.
Wow.
That's
And so where did you grow up? Let's kind of backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, so I grew up in Colorado. I was born in Denver, and then we moved here when I was younger. So I guess I pretty much grew up in California, in Laguna Niguel, Mission Viejo, and then
yeah.
I ended up moving to Irvine, to Newport. I've been like,
We're from Orange County. That's where I was born and raised.
You are? Oh my gosh,
Do you know
okay.
Yorba Linda?
yeah.
Like little tiny town.
We're neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same vibes.
Yeah, totally. Orange County is definitely its own
Yeah.
world.
It's interesting because everywhere I go, it's a different energy. Every
Okay.
state I go to, I know it's just I
Is it
know
by
that
city
energy.
too?
Yes, every city is just so it's different. It's so weird. I don't know how to explain it, but I always say like every place I go has just a unique energy that I always like remember.
Right.
You know, so I'll go there, I'll be like, oh, I remember this energy. You know, I don't like this or like
Yeah.
Is it the same with people like, you know, like let's say when you're dating or just meeting new people, is it like, whoa, that energy really stood out to me and stuck with me? And is
Yes.
that something that attracts you when that happens?
Yes, yes, 100%. There'll be someone with a very negative, entitled aura or like, you know, just like that energy. And I just cannot. I'll sit there and I just can't stand it. I'm just
Really?
like,
Have you like met someone like online or like a dating app and then you were like, oh my God, it sounded great. And then in person, it was a whole different thing? Or can you sense it even over
I
that?
sense it over photos.
I mean, that saves you a lot of time.
It does, yeah. It's like draining going through Instagram and stuff. When I was little, I would always look through my grandma's photo books because I was really entertained. Like I felt the energy through every photo and I never understood it. And all the kids would be playing with toys and I'd be sitting there, wow, you want to go through this photo album? Like no one wanted to go through it, but it's because I always felt things
Yeah.
through
That's
the
crazy.
album.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so growing up, you grew up in Orange County. I grew up in Orange County, so I know it's not necessarily the most liberal or progressive. I know there's parts like Laguna is a little more and stuff, but what did you know at a really young age that you were attracted to, you know, all genders? Was that something you felt and you knew you had to hide, or is that something just like later on you're like, oh, that's what this is?
So I feel like growing up, I always, like even in middle school, like when I was younger, elementary school, I would feel a certain way like towards girls too or whatever.
Right.
You know, like I would feel like the same sex, I would feel like a certain way. But like I thought it was just like, oh, I just thought they were really pretty.
Yeah.
You know, but it was more than that. It was like I would have a crush on them, but I was
Yeah.
like, no, this is wrong because I'm taught, you know, you're supposed to like a boy if you're a girl or whatever. But
Yes.
it's just like I don't understand how everything came to that.
Right.
Like, why are we forcing that?
Yeah.
Why is that a
so
thing?
binary and it's so
Yeah.
you know, it really like excludes so much about human nature.
It made me so confused because I thought it was wrong all the time.
Right.
I was like, I shouldn't feel that way towards the same gender or whatever. Like it was just something that was so like put in your head.
Yes.
You know, from schools, from everyone around
Absolutely.
you, and it's just something that gets so frustrating.
Yeah, we're indoctrinated so young. Like literally they say like in utero, like when babies are in the womb, we're already imposing gender on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it happens. So yeah, by the time you're 5 and you're like even having these memories, you've already been like conditioned to think that like anything outside of that is so wrong. And I did the same thing. I remember like I would like cry at night in my pillow thinking like, oh, I'm going to hell. Were you raised religious?
I wasn't. So my mom was Catholic growing up, but she never really like, I feel like I had gymnastics, so like I was really busy all the time. We never really, you know, had the time, like Sundays was our day off, you know, like,
Okay.
so we never really like went, but I feel like I'm grateful for that because I kind of found my own beliefs and everything
Yeah.
through my experiences and what I've seen and everything that I've felt. And, you know, like it's kind of spiritual for me. It was
Yeah.
kind of like I kind of came into my own, you know.
Yeah, and that's interesting, like spirituality versus like being religious. Like where do you think they're connected or where do you think there's a line drawn?
Yeah, I feel like no matter what you believe in, or if like, even with like crystals versus crosses, I feel like no matter what, the intention is to be protected by a higher, you know, a higher being or a higher like God or whatever
energy
you believe
even.
in, a higher energy. So I've always believed no matter what you believe in, it's the same concept of that protection. There's something there, but it's like the argument of what's there.
Yeah.
But it's like, why are we arguing about that when there is something, you know, clearly protecting each and every one of us?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, me and Arlo have talked about this, how it's kind of, we believe that like all humans need this thing to kind of like look beyond just like our physical world. And I think that's true. And I think like I personally am like not religious at all.
Yeah.
I'm atheist,
Same.
but at the same time, like I get why people believe the things they do.
Right.
I just wish people used it for good more than they do.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, Arlo, you have kind of a lot of thoughts on that too.
Yeah, like you said, like I'm atheist as well. I don't know. I don't think that everybody has to have something, but I think that like he said, like I get why people do. I think people kind of, if they almost are scared of the unknown, because if there's not that thing there, it's like, then what is life? Like what am I, what is the purpose? So I feel like a lot of people honestly use like religion and stuff like that, even if they won't necessarily say this, but I feel like people use religion just to kind of, so they don't have to think about what else is a possibility.
Right.
So then it's kind of like you were saying, like it almost like keeps them safe, like it protects them almost.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
But I mean, it's not, like at the same time, you believe in the paranormal.
Not
so-
necessarily though.
Well,
Like-
I mean, you do in a sense, because we talk about this all the time. So you do think that there could be more out there. So
I think that
my
there
point,
could.
even saying that, is that
You're open.
like
Yeah.
I think I've always believed, even as an atheist, that there's definitely energies and different things out there that we just don't know. To me, it's all physical though. It's always felt like that. Even when I was a kid, like, and my mom would talk about like God and all these other things, it always felt like it's just part of our physical world. It's just we can't see it physically.
Yes. Right.
So that's how it felt to me.
I feel like I think it's really cool. Like paranormal stuff I think is really cool, but there's always that part of me that is skeptical.
Right.
I feel like I always want to try to look at it as like the most realistic, like science way possible.
Yes. Got you. Yeah.
Like because even if it's there, like I feel like some people think that it's automatically just like magic or something.
Right.
But I feel like there could be ways to explain it that makes sense.
That's kind of how I was too, honestly. Like even with my gifts, I was skeptical. I was like, is this in my brain? Am I crazy? Like I would always be like, why does no one see that but I can? And I wanted to understand it more. And I even at one point was like, maybe I'm atheist. Maybe I don't believe it. Like I was trying to ignore it, you know, like I was trying to, like, ignorance is bliss. I was so afraid of it. I was just like, maybe if I just like don't like believe in it, you know, it won't be there.
Yeah.
But it's like, as it progressed and stuff, then I started like really digging into like the science, you know, the science behind it, and like that the human brain produces 20 watts of conscious energy. Like your consciousness produces 20 watts of energy is what they say. And energy can neither be created or destroyed. So that's something where I was like, okay, that energy is lingering and energy can be manipulated. And
That's exactly how I view all of this. Like when people are like, "Oh, ghosts," I'm like, I think it's just beyond what we really know. But it's these kinds of things you're talking about, like how they're saying like we can even like manipulate like atoms and stuff. Like if like scientists are like staring at them, they'll behave differently if they're like looking away and stuff.
So with energy, there's actually been like science experiments where people have talked to plants. Have you heard about this?
Yes, yeah.
So there's been like 2 plants and they have the same sunlight, everything, you know, and one plant, they would say positive things to it, like, you know, beautiful, positive energy towards this plant. But then the other plant, they would say all these negative things towards this plant. The plant that they said all the negative things drooped, the other one blossomed. And it's just so interesting, even with water too. They say like water has memory frozen.
Yeah, like I saw where they put like a water bottle somewhere and
Yeah.
they put like a negative word on it, and then they did the same thing with like a positive word. So people like around the water bottle would like say negative things, and it like changed its like composition or whatever. I was like, that is.
Yeah.
So I think really a lot of this is all kind of is intertwined in some way.
Yeah.
for sure.
It's not that like I don't believe in anything paranormal. It's more just like certain things. It's like I'm still skeptical
Like you
about.
need proof.
Yeah,
You need to see it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very like that. But like we were saying, like I think it's something that maybe eventually could be more explained, like science-wise. Like because I feel like there's not that much information on it. But like I feel maybe eventually we can get to a point where we can actually describe it and explain what it means and like how it works and stuff.
And it's interesting because the CIA actually would do experiments on psychics and mediums and the other world. And a lot of like former CIA agents are terrified of what they saw and the supernatural, like the other dimension. There's like 2 million recorded documents of experiments with psychics and mediums, and they hide this from people, which is so interesting. And
if they're hiding it, it's because they found something.
Yes, like any former CIA agent, like I've talked to a few, you know, there's a few that watch me, and they are like, there was some weird things that we experienced. I'm still in therapy from it. There's some weird things that, you know, it's interesting because it's like the government only tells you what we need to know.
Yeah,
they tell you like 5% of what we need.
Oh, yeah.
They just came out with aliens
during
COVID, like to cover it up.
Yeah.
It's just so mind blowing. It's like, okay, the Pentagon released that, yes, the USS Nimitz, they were unidentified flying objects. We don't know where they came from. Could be aliens, but COVID.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just so
totally
weird.
People were so preoccupied when that happened that people were like, well, if aliens are here, aliens are here. Like they couldn't even like, so they did. It was definitely a timing thing.
I feel like, because people say like, oh my gosh, there's so many UFO sightings. I feel like that's, okay, let's say there has like genuinely been a lot of UFO sightings. There's no way that isn't like purposeful. I always think that because I'm like, if they really wanted to be careful about that, or even if it isn't purposeful, but like you said, like they tell us what we need to know. So I feel like if it's something that we see, it's either there on purpose or it's because they're like, you can know this. Yeah, because like, don't you think like UFOs, if they were really this big of a deal, or if it was something that we couldn't know that was really top secret or whatever, we wouldn't be able to see it. People say that there's like so many sightings, and I always think that I'm like, there has to be a reason why we see so many of those.
Right.
You know what I
maybe
mean?
the government's working with them, or maybe they're, you know what I mean?
Maybe
like,
it is the government.
Maybe, you know, but there's so many possibilities. It's like they even say there's secret bases, you know, like Area 51 and like other bases where they hide UFOs and other beings.
That's something that I thought about too, is actually Area 51. Another thing that I also think is like the fact that Area 51 is just there. I think that that's kind of weird. I feel like if it was something that like we couldn't see, it would be more secret. That's what I think with, like I was saying, like with UFOs and all like the things that we see. I'm like, how do we know that this is even what we actually think it is?
Right.
Because if it was really something that crazy, they wouldn't let us know. You know what I mean?
Right. But it's like they distract us too. They're like Area 51, aliens, but they have Area like 54 over here where it's like they're doing all their weird stuff, you know?
Real stuff is happening.
Yeah.
No, that's a good theory though.
Oh yeah, and I was gonna, you said something really quick earlier. You're like, I maybe thought I was atheist. Do you consider yourself something else now?
So I just consider myself spiritual. It's just everything I've experienced. I needed to experience things, and as my gifts progressed to the point where I couldn't deny what I was seeing and like feeling, then I was like, okay, I need to believe in, because just didn't go with my beliefs, you know, at that point.
I mean, if I was experiencing what you were, I'd feel the exact same way.
Yeah. I think you can still, I mean, I'm not saying like for you, but I just think in general, like I feel like you can still consider yourself atheist, but also believe in paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people look at atheism as its own like almost religion or something. But it's the absence of religion, which I feel like a lot of people misunderstand. I've actually heard a couple people talk about this before on like talk shows and stuff. How if you're an atheist, that automatically like means that you can't believe in anything else.
Right.
But I feel like you can. I feel like atheism is more just about religion and God and stuff like that. Than it is paranormal.
Well, I mean, like technically, like atheism is the absence of belief in anything beyond the physical world. So where that line could get obviously melted is that if you believe that all of this is part of the physical world, I guess you could still say you're atheist and believe in these energies that are physical energies. But when I was studying philosophy, that's what they said. Like, so most people, like my philosophy teacher would be like, okay, who here considers themselves religious, who considers themselves atheist. And then once he defined both, a lot of atheist people realized they were actually agnostic, which means they're unsure.
Yes.
They just don't know. It's like you're not saying one or the other, you're saying it's possible, I'm not sure. Whereas atheist is kind of a final being, like, I really believe there's nothing beyond the physical.
Well, that's the thing. I don't believe in a God or anything like that, though. Like, there, like, no question about that for me. But, like, see, that's why I don't consider myself agnostic, though, because it's like, I'm not unsure. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe in religion or God. I think paranormal. I've always been very interested in the paranormal, but not in that way. Like, more in spirits and things like that, and kind of more, like just interesting paranormal things. So that's why I still say atheist, but like, I do get what you mean. But yeah, I still think, like, for me, it just works. Because, like, if someone asks, you know what I mean? I'm just going to say atheist.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that for sure. Yeah, I'm just like, I guess, because I was like, in my mind, it was like for like a week or something, I was like, I think I'm atheist. You know, I was just like, I don't know. Like, I was just confused. Then I thought agnostic, because I was like, but I'm really open to the idea. But then I started experiencing things, and I was like, I'm spiritual. That's just something that kind of like, I really like Buddhism, but I don't practice it and stuff. I went to Thailand and learned more about Buddhism, and it was really interesting to me. And it was like all energy based, you know, it was everything like I was kind of believing in and seeing and things that matched up.
Right.
But now I just say, I'm spiritual, because it's just like a
Yeah.
broad, you know,
It's a
it's not a
blanket term.
certain religion.
Right.
It's not something that is by the books, you know what I mean? Like, it's something that is just free. It's what you believe in, what you
Right.
feel, what your experiences are.
What I'm
Yeah.
finding in so many things you've said this entire interview so far is how many similarities there are to spirituality and all of these things you're experiencing to being queer or to being LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Like, queer people define it in a very similar way. They're like, it's this blanket term. I don't really like to say I'm this or that. I just know based on my experiences and what I've gone through in life that, like, this is a comfortable term for me.
Yes.
I'm not one or the other, but I can't, you know? So I think it's so, like, this whole time, everything you've said, I'm like, it's literally just like this, like, contrast or like comparison.
Yeah, it's like once you open that part of your mind, some people are just so closed off to the ideas of everything, of, you know, LGBTQ, of spirituality, of like, people are so hateful for it. I'm like, why not keep an open mind and open yourself up to other things? Why keep it so closed off? Like, what? There's something deeper than that. You know, I dig in. I'm all psychic. I'm like, there's something deeper from your childhood with that. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, it's just so bizarre to me that people are so just like against it and like so hateful towards it. And they're like, I'm like, if God or whatever, you know, whatever you believe in, if they're saying you cannot get married to the same sex, why are animals attracted to the same sex?
Yeah.
Why is it in nature? Why is it
everywhere?
why do people feel this way? He wouldn't let people feel that way if he didn't want that. And it's just so weird to me. I'm like, come on, go touch some grass.
Seriously.
I know, I see this stuff all the time. Like, when I get hateful comments or just whatever's going on in the media, I'm always like, do you want to be, like, for me, being open is freeing.
Yes.
So that has to be painful. Like, I think that for these people all the time. Like, even when I just watch, like, Ben Shapiro speak, I'm like, I can see that you are an uncomfortable person. Like,
He
you
gives me an
don't feel
aneurysm.
free. And so it's interesting because I think if these people realized that actually being accepting would actually help them as well, they would probably feel more fulfilled.
They have
but
such a different energy about them too, and it's so just like, oh, I'm like, how do you live like
like
that?
anger and-
Yeah, like you
and-
wake up, come out of bed, I'm gonna go hate someone today. Like, that's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
I don't hate anyone. Like, literally, even like bad people, like, it's hard for me to hate, you know?
But yeah, like you were saying about Ben Shapiro and all those people, it's just like, really sit down for a moment and just like, I want people like that to just like think.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why? Because like, I feel like they just get so in their thing, they're so deep in what they believe to the point where like, even if they ended up like in their mind believing something else, they wouldn't even be able to say it because they would be wrong. And they would look because then they would look like stupid.
Yeah.
And they can't handle that. And so
It's like that egotistical thing.
yeah,
And that's the problem with dogma. Like when people are dogmatic and they're for sure one way and they will never change their mind, it's so built in, like you said, in ego that's why even like Arlo's saying, like even if there was this part where they're like, actually maybe they wouldn't, because now they've already set themselves. Whereas if you as a human being give yourself, kind of like how you're describing you are, like you're very open even with sexuality, with how you view people, with how you view genders, with spirituality, then you are also open to say, I made a mistake. Oh, maybe I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was wrong to say that.
Good owning up to my mistakes. I'm like, oh, I'm human. I made a mistake. Whoops.
Absolutely.
You know, like I feel good about it.
I feel like, see though, what I feel like people would do is take what we just said and then flip it around and be like, well, see, well then, like, at least for me, like, well then, wouldn't you want to, like, believe in God or something? Or, like, isn't there the possibility of you believing in God? This is the thing, is that, like, if I saw God and, you know, there was, like, legitimate proof that I physically saw, maybe.
Well, and I think the whole
But,
point
like,
is
you're
that
open. You're
like,
open to it.
Everyone has that choice to have their own belief system,
Yeah.
and this is yours.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they could flip that, but you
Yeah.
could just be like, well, this is you believe what you
But
believe.
it's like if he presented himself to you right, and then you'd be like, all right,
yeah,
you'd
exactly.
be open to
Yeah,
it.
you wouldn't be like still.
Yeah,
no.
some people are just like, no, it's not there. And I'm like, it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Like, I probably still wouldn't be like an organized religious person, but I would be like, okay, you know, if I literally have physical proof like in front of my eyes, sure.
Yeah.
But like, for now, I'm gonna say no, just
right.
personally
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
And I mean, so with all of those things you were feeling as a kid growing up, and you said you weren't really raised religious where you felt like your parents were like, no, right? It was more like, did you feel it was something you had to hide, or?
I think it was with myself, honestly. It was like judgment from other people at school and, you know, more like that. Like when I came out as pansexual, I just came out online. I didn't even feel like I needed to tell my parents because I feel like they kind of just knew or were just they would accept it. I just knew that, which I'm so grateful for. And there's a lot of people out there whose parents are not accepting of it. And I'm like, that would be like so much of a struggle that it's just so sad that people even have to feel that way, you know, and it like breaks my heart. And I'm just so grateful for who my parents are and how open they are to everything.
Right.
My dad's very open spiritually like me. He really likes Buddhism and stuff like that. And like even with my spirituality and like me coming out, like saying, okay, so I psychic medium, you know, I came out as a psychic medium and pansexual. So it's a lot, you know, it was a lot for them. They're like, all right.
Was at the same exact time?
Yeah, pretty much the same time. And I was just trying to come into myself and just like, I wanted to be my full self because like, I felt like I wasn't. I felt like I was just hiding a part of me. And now I feel like I'm just so open and I feel free. Like I just feel genuinely like so free now.
I love that.
And it's just amazing.
You can honestly see it on you. I obviously can't read auras, but I am sensitive to people's energies, and like instantly I can see that you just are like such a free, open, like good person. Like it's so obvious right away. And I love that.
Thank you.
And you said your parents were pretty open and all that. So, and then like, let's say like high school years, like, so at this time, you know, we're all going through like puberty. It's already a hard time. So anyone that's like LGBTQIA plus, it obviously adds a whole nother aspect.
Yeah.
And you're also going through kind of not coming to terms with seeing these things, and right?
Yeah.
So what was that like?
It's a lot. I mean, like people online are hateful and they'll say, you're schizophrenic, you have a mental illness. I'm like, who are you to diagnose me? Like, you know, like it's like, I didn't know your grandpa's name because I have a mental illness, you know, like it's just something that's so weird to me that people jump to that. And I'm like, that sucks for the people who struggle with mental illness every day, for the people who like suffer with schizophrenia and like seeing things that really are hallucination. Like, it sucks that people are using it as an insult just to like make me feel dumb. But I'm like, I know what I see. I know what I experience. I have a lot of proof of it. And it's just something that I don't even feel like I need to prove anymore to people. I felt like a long time I was trying to prove it to people. I was like, all right, they need, like, I want them to know that I'm legit, but now I'm just like, if you believe me, cool. But if you don't, just like move on.
Yeah.
Unfollow, walk away.
Yes, like walk away. Why sit and hate on something you don't understand, because you didn't grow up like this. You didn't grow up, seeing things like me and my sister would see the same spirits and explain them the exact same. We would be like, she's standing there. My sister's like, yep. Like we both see them, and like it's crazy, but it's like, it's so beautiful.
And everything you just said is another amazing comparison to like growing up queer. So you've already told us just such amazing insight into all of this. Like I feel like I just learned so much, but I have to ask, like, what is something that happened in your life that was like actually so spooky? Like seeing or experiencing, like me and Arlo are obsessed with horror films and paranormal, so I have to know.
Yeah, I was literally about to ask her, I was gonna say, what was like your most intense, like...
Yeah.
When I almost got possessed.
Okay, tell us this. We have to know.
Yeah, that was, honestly, that changed. Like, I started wearing crystals. I started really protecting myself.
Right.
I was kind of testing my limits back then, I think. So it was me and a couple friends. We went to the Gates of Hell in New Jersey, and it's said to be one of the most haunted places in the world. It's said to be a portal to hell, basically.
Yeah.
So we went there, of course, doing what we do, and there was like a sacrifice chicken there. Like people have like sacrifice things there, and we saw some weird things. And so we went there. We went there with 3 Dybbuk boxes. Do you know what a Dybbuk box is?
Yes.
Okay, so if you don't know what a Dybbuk box is, it's something in like, I believe it's like Jewish religion. I guess they seal all their darkest negative secrets and like negative feelings in this box, and they seal it with wax to never be open. So my friend had a couple of them, so we brought 3 of them. We ended up opening 2 of them. One of them opened by itself. That was kind of weird.
Crazy.
Yeah, one of them ended up opening by itself, and my friend, she had this box that was passed down in her family for like a few generations, and she had never opened it. So she's like, all right, let's open it here.
Wow.
We open it. It's like this tiny little box, and it has like a pentagram in it, and it has human teeth in it. And I don't know where those teeth came from. Don't know if someone was murdered and they put their teeth in there. Don't know. But all of a sudden, like this is all on camera too, I felt this need to grab the tooth. Like it was weird. It was like it wasn't me. Like I was just grabbing the tooth. I hold it and I start shaking and I drop it. And all of a sudden, like it was like 40 degrees out. This is in New Jersey, and I think it was in fall. Like it was cold out, and I started sweating profusely. Like I was just like overheating. You can see it in my face. I start getting white. I start getting pale. I start dry heaving. There was just so much darkness. Like I was literally dry heaving, almost vomiting, and I kept blacking out. I kept forgetting where I was. So we were like, we need to go now, because like this was a lot. So we started running up this hill, and I remember bits and pieces of running up the hill. I don't remember the whole thing. So yeah, so we went up there, and this is before I really believed in like crystals and stuff. I thought they were just rocks. I was like, they're rocks, they're not going to do anything. Yeah. But then like my friend Chris, she handed me a crystal. I think it was selenite. She handed it to me. I was holding on for dear life. I was like, save me, rock, please save me. So I was holding on to it, and my other friend was saging me with Palo Santos and like all this stuff. All of a sudden I felt it like release. I felt a lighter energy, and I handed my friend the crystal, and it like she flinched because the crystal was burning hot. Like it was like it collected all this negative energy. Yeah, it was burning hot. Terrifying. So ever since, I always wear crystals. I always have my sage, because that's what my Native American ancestors would use, and that's just what I'm drawn to, is like sage, like red dragon blood sage or Palo Santos, stuff like that.
Some people think that things like you're saying, like wearing crystals and even crosses, like it's not even necessarily the actual like God, or it's like, not literally magic, but it's just because there's so much belief surrounding it.
Yes.
The intention protects you almost.
Totally.
Yeah. That's like what I believe with crosses, crystals. I'm like, no matter what, it's that intention.
You're putting on that object.
Yes. Yeah. And like crystals, like I don't know. I was looking into the science because I like the science too. So the crystals, it's interesting because they do a lot of different studies on it, and there are a lot of benefits and different energies that come from different types of crystals. Wow. It's super interesting. Like, I don't know. I was like, okay, well, these rocks, there's certain areas with certain rocks that are more vibrational, like the energy is different. And that's what I always like. I would feel tingling when I would grab crystals. I would feel different energies, and it was really interesting. It was like it was alive.
You can already feel it from like people and stuff. Then, you're gonna feel it more.
Yeah, and it was weird because when I was little, I would collect rocks, and my mom would get really mad. She'd be like, "Why do you need all these rocks?" But I realized it was in Catalina. I would always grab these rocks, and they were clear quartz crystals. And I would collect them because I liked them when I was little.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it all makes sense now. I was like, wait a minute.
Do you think your whole life having these abilities has like drawn you, maybe like you're more aware of like what your path is and where, like for instance, like knowing to get those rocks, like do you think that's how your life has been all the way? Like has it even come across with like dating and stuff, like where you know like you're on almost like a more sure path because of this?
Yes. Once I started really trusting my gifts, I would ignore them. I would be like, oh, this friend's not good for me, but I'm gonna ignore it. Like I would ignore my intuition, my my feel, like it's like that gut feeling.
Totally.
But it's like something that it would kind of call me, to do different things. And as I started listening to it, my career started flourishing. I started attracting amazing people in my life, like Pride House LA, Molly. Molly was on here. Like I started attracting these amazing people in my life that were just here to help and here, for great things. Like it was just like, you really create your own reality.
Absolutely.
It's weird.
And every guest we've had in this chair so far has said the exact same thing. They were like, once I came to terms with my sexuality or my gender or both, my life fell into place. My career fell into place. I got the best friends. Like exact same thing happened to me. When I came out as trans and really started posting that and being so honest with my family and my friends and everyone, it was like it filtered out people who weren't meant in my life anyways and like left the good ones, and my career just started blossoming. And I was like, I think it's the exact same thing. Like I think these are so intertwined. It's like this, it's almost like, I don't know, this is like giving me just the craziest thoughts because I'm like, I've never compared these two, like spirituality and being queer, but I'm seeing like
so many similarities.
It's just so beautiful.
I'm kind of curious, like some people say that it could be anybody that has these like gifts, but because just of the society that we live in, like it's not something that's necessarily normal, but like technically it could be anyone that has them, but they just haven't really tapped into it or even maybe thought about it or realized that they can do it. Do you believe that that's possible?
I think everyone has gifts. I don't think it's just me. I don't think I'm like super special or anything, but it's like...
You're definitely special.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm all blushing. But it's like, I feel like everyone can tap into it. It's just you're taught to block it out. You're taught to block it out. Like people say, I would see this when I was little, but I don't see it anymore. And it's like, it's because society just has you block things out and learn certain things, and it's so twisted. Like we are brainwashed. Like it's, it's a whole conspiracy in itself, but I feel like we're definitely brainwashed into thinking certain things, even with sexualities and stuff. Where straight is the normal,
I think we're brainwashed to feel limited, not limitless. And I think humans are limitless. So I think it's like to make you feel like you don't have as many, you're not as powerful as you really are.
Right.
And like on this podcast, I really like to give because they're young listeners, I like to give them kind of like advice and stuff. So something you just said reminded me, what would you say to someone that's listening that maybe wants to like tap into this more and maybe feels like, I do feel like I have intuition, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
And then another thing, I look into this all the time because I struggle with this on the daily with this question: what is trauma and what is intuition? Because when there's like something coming into my life and I'm like, oh, I'm getting like that feeling, like almost like a red flag, I'm like, is that intuition or is that past trauma? What would you say?
I've never thought about it like that, but I feel like once you learn how to really trust yourself and trust, you could look at the past traumas and like when you're moving forward with things, it's like, I feel like once you start really tapping into, you know, your energy and what's good for you, whereas like if you think of it as like a negative past trauma is influencing this, every past trauma happened for a reason. You know what I mean? Like I've definitely been through it with people, and I could like trust no one, you know, with the things I've been through, but I choose, okay, for myself, I'm going to trust these people. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, even though I have this trauma of trusting people and then they were horrible to me, bullying me, you know, things like that. It's like, you can turn that trauma into something so much more powerful within yourself. And it's like, because all that past trauma had to happen for a reason. I feel like if I didn't go through my past trauma, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be as strong as I am today. So like it kind of plays into each other.
Totally. And I think I want like every person listening to right now to know that like you are powerful.
Yes.
And to tap into that and to love yourself every day, because I do really believe what you're saying is that I think society does try to control that.
There's so many ways to tap into it. You know, if you want to tap into mediumship with psychic stuff. With mediumship, I guess it's a little more scary because it is the supernatural realm. You are dealing with, you know, entities that are unknown. Like it's kind of hit and miss. I've had good and bad experiences. But you can start with like dowsing rods or a simple candle. You can talk to your grandma or something. Like I've had Molly, that's how I connected with her, is by connecting with her grandmother who passed away. And I told her, I was like, she wants you to use this candle. And that night she used the candle and she would say, flicker once for yes, twice for no. Something as simple as that can really start like getting you to tap into that realm. You can start using different devices if you want that proof, you know, like flashlights, they can turn them on and off. Like if you want that physical proof, which I like getting because I like it validating what I'm seeing and everything.
Same, yes.
Yeah, I'll be like, there's a spirit right there. And people are like, oh, whatever. I'll be like, all right, I'll put the flashlight there. Turn it on. They turn it on. You know, just stuff like that. And then with like the psychic stuff, there's a lot of meditations you can do. There's a lot of like crystals, and opening your third eye is, you know, something that has been done through generations. If you believe in that, I definitely believe it. Like the pineal gland, it's kind of sciencey.
Calcified.
Yeah. Like only a certain amount of your brain is open, like a small amount, right? I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but there's that pineal gland that's just like dormant, you know, and it's something that you can activate and you feel it. You like feel it tingling. Anyone who does meditations, you know what I mean.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you talked about Molly, because so my dad passed away before my transition, and I've always wondered like if he could like, if he knows, you know?
Yes.
Is that something that like I could try to like ask him or?
Yeah, I definitely feel someone with you. Really? I have since I walked in. You know, you just have this energy about you, and I believe he's definitely looking out for you and definitely proud of everything you're doing. They don't seem, you know, like a lot of the times they're upset with something, or sometimes they'll be like upset with financial issues, you know, but they just seem like they're here to support you, and
really? Can you like see, or is it just a feeling?
A feeling. This one's a feeling. Yeah. I wish I could like see it clearer, but I like the man that was sitting over there. But I just feel like he's definitely proud of you.
Aww.
Like genuinely. I'm not just saying that, you know, like I don't lie about my readings. I'm very honest about them. If someone's upset about something, I'll be like, all right, your grandpa's upset about this financial issue. You know, you got to get it going. They'll be like, what? How'd you know that?
Your dad thinks you're queer and he doesn't like it.
No, like he's very supportive, very.
Amazing. I mean, honestly, I always thought he would be. Like, it's been really hard with my family.
Yeah.
And I feel so frustrated that I lost him before that, because I feel like he would have been the one person that had
I
my
think
back.
he helped you through it. I think that everything happens for a reason, you know, even losing loved ones. And it's like maybe he is here to help guide you on this path, on this journey.
I always, you know, when I was like deciding to do this too, and, you know, there's obviously fear, how could there not be? I remember thinking like, my dad was in my head a lot. Like, I was like, he would probably support me, and he would just be like, Jesse, I love you. And he also was the kind of person that always told me, like, do whatever makes you happy.
Yes.
Life is short.
Yes.
And so, like, that kind of, like, helped boost a lot of my decisions I make. I go, what would my dad do?
Right. No, that's awesome.
I have used pendulums before.
Yeah, pendulums.
And one time when I was using it was kind of like a makeshift one. Basically, I got a crystal that I had.
Yeah.
And I've had like actual pendulums, but I tied it with like, I think it was like some sort of string or floss.
That'll work, honestly, yeah.
And so obviously it could have just been maybe I accidentally moved it or something. But when I was using it, I was asking about my grandfather who had passed. And one of the things that was strange to me, like I said, this could have literally just been by accident. Maybe I touched it or something.
Yeah.
But I asked, like, do you like where you are? Like, wherever, you are right now, do you like it? And it was a no.
Uh-huh.
And I was curious, like, what would that even mean?
Someone said, because I'm not with you.
Right now, just
Right
said
now?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I just got the chills.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It
It was right away. It was like,
That's-
because I'm not with you.
Was that Papa you were talking about?
Yeah.
because that is seriously something Papa would say. I feel
Yeah,
like.
that's so, I don't even know what to think. Yeah, that
I just got the chills.
that's crazy.
Yeah, that was like quick. Woo.
This is their grandpa on their
Other dad's side.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've both passed, but
That's crazy.
he was like obsessed with Arlo. Like,
That's so
Arlo
crazy.
was his number one buddy.
Oh, I bet
so-
he's always with you. I bet you. Because that was just like so
Wow.
quick.
That was so cute. But also that was so fast. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, wait, whoa, what?
Sometimes it's just like, someone else's voice, like it sounds crazy, but it's like it's not my thought,
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll speak like the spirit and they're like, where did that come from?
That's what I was wondering when I was doing the pendulum, because I was thinking maybe it's because he's not around his family really as much, or he can't really talk to us and stuff. So that's crazy. Because I was wondering where is there something that is there a place that he's in? Like, I don't know how to take that. You know what I mean?
Something that's like sometimes spirits don't even understand. It's interesting. I try to ask as much as I can, but they seem just so blissful and at peace that they don't even care some of the times. Wow. Like, they don't even care. They're just like, I'm here, but I am in so much peace. And like, it's just this energy that it's like, oh my gosh, it makes me so happy. It makes me emotional sometimes because they are just so happy. But then there are other spirits who are stuck, and I try to get them to that blissful, peaceful. Okay. I try to think of it like a state of consciousness, like people believe like there's a heaven, there's a hell, that it's a place. But for me personally, like from what I've kind of put together in my, in my mind or whatever, is that it's like a state of consciousness. Some people are in a living hell. Like some people are living in their own hell on earth, and it's like that state of consciousness. You can live in that blissful state.
I mean, that makes sense too if they say that like they can actually see like our consciousness and stuff gets displaced, like energy displaced in it. So that would make sense if there could be like levels of it where people are kind of more stuck.
Yeah.
Or people are.
Because I categorize the spirits I see, like I'm like, okay, they're down here, but I categorize them. It's interesting, like angelic, like I didn't really believe in like angels with wings until I experienced it. And I was like, it was the craziest thing. It was just like we had all these candles and my friend was doing a tarot reading and stuff.
So I'm just curious, what makes an angel? Why is there a difference between angels?
Yeah, so what I experienced was we had all these candles, right? And like it was so bizarre. I didn't believe in angels. Like I was like, okay, like it's like a higher dimensional being, like I didn't believe they had wings and all this stuff. But it was just it was like this warm feeling all of a sudden, like the air was off, the windows were closed, I like debunking things. I'm like, all right, the air was on, like I debunk things that I see and stuff because I'm like, I need to, otherwise I'll lose my sanity. But it was crazy. My friend was doing tarot, an old friend of mine, and all of a sudden, like there was this gust of warm wind and I saw these feathers in front of me and the candles blew out and my hair blew up. Like I was like, It was like a tornado went through the room. Whoa. But it was the warmest, most like beautiful feeling I ever felt. And that I like started believing in angels then. Yeah. It was so weird. And my old friend experienced it too. So it wasn't just me. Like it was weird.
Wow.
But I believe, like, going into your question, I believe it's that high, like maybe we live all these lives to build up our energy and build up our souls to like become these angelic beings. Yeah. I don't know.
That's what I was wondering. Like, is it maybe like a human that, like, you know, once maybe they pass, or is it something that had already existed, never died, and it was just always there? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. Yeah. Like, because a lot of like demonic entities I come across were never alive. They're just these balls of negative energy.
That's what I hear from, like, when I watch mediums and stuff on like YouTube or whatever. They usually say that they weren't even humans. Like, because usually people say like there's a difference between like a spirit who just is like mean or sad versus like a full-on like demon or demonic entity who is just like a thing.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I don't even, sometimes I'll call them a certain, pronoun or whatever because they present themselves that way. But I'm like, they weren't alive. They are just a ball of energy, like just negative, horrible energy. I've seen things crawling on the floor. My sister saw it too. Like, we've seen weird things. Oh. They manifest themselves as whatever will scare you.
See, I want to know that kind of stuff. Because also too, just by the way, like, as someone who has been into the paranormal since I was very young, I love this conversation. Because I want to try to see things firsthand. Yeah. Because that's, the kind of stuff that proves it to me. Right. And that's like, even though it's scary, I do kind of want to experience something.
Exactly.
Similar.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious.
That's how I was too.
Yeah. I'm curious. Like, I'm curious. You know what I mean? I want to see that.
That's like why I do what I do. Yeah. I'm curious. Like, even if it scares me, I'm like, let's do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Seriously. See, I hear like a lot of mediums and, people and that kind of stuff. And they say how like, oh, don't do this. Like, I don't like to do that because it crosses over too much or because like it gets into this too much. Yeah. And obviously that's perfectly fine for everybody individually. But like, I like that you're kind of more like, oh no, I want to do a seance or something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I like testing my limits. Right. I mean, it did end up with me almost being possessed, which is what a lot of the mediums try to avoid because they know what they know. Yeah. Right. But I don't know. It's kind of just like a constant validation because I'm so excited to show what I'm seeing is legit. Yeah, what I'm seeing is legit. That's kind of what it is for me too.
I'm just wondering, since you're kind of more of like a spiritual open person, like, do you ever think like about crazy things? Like, maybe like this goes way deeper than we even think. And it's like, even just like watching Stranger Things. Yeah. Like, do you ever think like, what if like, what we think of as ghosts or spirits or whatever, like, what if this is all so much deeper than we can even imagine?
Yeah, some people have even told me, like, it could be time. It could be time.
Yeah, some people
or like a past time where it's like intertwining with our dimension.
Right. That's how I've always felt it. Like this, like, parallel dimensions, like crossing, like touching or something.
It's interesting because they're in clothes and stuff, and I'm like, where'd you get that? Or like they're smoking a cigarette. I'm like, where'd you get that? The ghost cigarette store? Like, where'd you you know what I mean?
That's why I feel like they're almost like
memories almost.
I really like the whole like energy like thing because I feel like that's the most like that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's like that's actually possible. Like maybe they're just like these energies that just kind of build up, you know what I mean? Like like when people
manifest themselves.
Right. And like because when people, pass on, you said like the energy almost like still stays. So that's what everybody always says is like, okay, well, if we have so much energy, then, when we die, where does it go? Right. And so like, what if that energy just kind of manifests itself? Yes. And that's why you see some, smoking a cigarette and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've seen one with a duster. I'm like, why are you dusting? Really? Yeah, she was a maid.
In your afterlife.
Yeah, sometimes I think they show me things just to like know what they were doing or who they were. Like it's like a lot of symbolism. Okay.
That makes sense. Okay, so this literally, I could have talked to you for 5 hours.
Yeah, this is.
We're exchanging numbers and we're hanging out, and I have to hear so much more.
I'm down.
We love to end it with 2 of our favorite questions.
Mm-hmm.
We ask everyone these. Arlo, you can go ahead and shoot off the first one.
Yeah. So, what is a single thing you'd want to be known for after you, like, leave this earth, basically?
Known for, I guess, helping others with their spiritual, like, helping other mediums, psychics, young medium psychics, understanding their, you know, their path and their spirituality, and like, I don't know, I just want people to know, like, it's okay to be different, you know, like, it's okay to be not the social normal. Like, that's what I kind of want to, you know, be your authentic self is like my whole thing, is just be yourself. Some people just change themselves for other people. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Be who you are. That's like kind of what I just like to kind of teach, you know?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing thing to leave behind. I think more people need to hear that. And then, do you think 10-year-old Kelsi would be proud of Kelsi now?
I do. I do.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
I mean,
yeah.
Can you tell us why a little bit?
I think I've just stayed, you know, myself through everything, and, you know, like growing on social media and stuff, people, their minds get twisted, you know, over like the number and them being more superior over other people and being egotistical. And, you know, I've had like a lot of experiences with people like that, and I'm just glad that I never changed, no matter how much of my following is. It's a number, you know, like it doesn't make you more superior over other people. No. Come on now.
And also too, like, even, you know, what we've kind of talked about this whole episode, how far you've come when it came to just, you know, experiencing what you've experienced when it comes to medium, you know, like being a medium and stuff like that. Like, you've come so far, because like you said, you didn't really understand it at first, and now, I mean, you were just talking about a person over there.
Yeah. It's nice that I've come into my own, and like for 10-year-old Kelsi, I think that she would just be like, oh, thank goodness, just like relieved. We don't have to suffer with this like, constant like feeling of not being able to be open my whole life. You know what I mean?
She probably would feel relieved.
Yeah.
I think she's proud.
All right, I agree. I think we're proud of you. So.
Thank you. I'm proud of you guys.
Well, thank you so much. This has been seriously beautiful and spooky and amazing and everything in between.
Yes.
Why don't you look in the camera and tell everyone where to find you on your socials?
Yeah, so my TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter is KelsiDaviess, and my YouTube is Kelsi Davies, just with one I and one S.
Okay, amazing.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, everyone, for being here for another episode of Interview with My Kid. Make sure you follow us on all streaming platforms and follow the Pass Your Bedtime YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Thursday at noon. Don't forget, so come find us.